New Zealand went there, beat them 3-0 at home.
That's right.
Doesn't happen often.
And I don't care what anyone says. If you're trying to convince me that the best thing for cricket as a sport in this country is we don't see our men's national team play at home during summer, you're talking that's just nonsense, is what it is.
The way they play their cricket is very aggressive, but what it means is they're always going to give the opposition a chance.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
It's been a while since we've talked cricket, so this is always a treat. Rahul Patil is in the studio with us at the conclusion of, and dramatic conclusion of, just an incredible series. If you haven't been watching any of this, I hope you've been following it. India versus England. So, first test to England, second test to India, third test to England, fourth test draw for India where they batted 5 sessions, which in this day and age is just extraordinary for players to be able to do that, to have the patience and the dedication, the application to bat out a draw, which meant they go into the 5th test needing to win that and draw the series. Came down this morning, Rahul, where England, 4 wickets in hand, needed 35 runs. They got 29 of them. How tense was that last day of this test match?
I tell you what, Marty, I've watched a lot of cricket in my life, but 56 minutes on day 5, and people paid more than $56 to be there. I'm telling you, those are the best money you ever invested in your life to go and watch a game of cricket. Those 56 minutes had absolutely everything. Action, emotion, drama, comedy. Everything that you could ask for on a cricket field was there. Phenomenal finish. We've got those win percentages that come up. Mm-hmm. And at the end of day 4, it was through the roof for England, as it would be. You had 2 people on strike. Jamie Smith, who's done really well in the series. Jamie Overton, he's done well in the series. Gus Atkinson has got a first-class 100. So 35 runs.
It's not a lot, is it?
You think.
Mind you, just to interrupt you, I saw a headline on the BBC and it said that 35 runs, 4 wickets, sleep well tonight, everyone. And I read that and I thought, wow, and then I read the article and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not as easy as it actually looks on paper.
No, it never is. It's never done until it's done. And just goes to show, if this was any other game, they would have probably got over the line. But the fact that it's test cricket, the fact that the whole stadium was pretty much full on day 5 with only an hour's play left, the fact that worldwide there's so many people glued to their television screens, and from a neutral's point of view, the Aussies were involved in this because they've got the Ashes coming up.
They've got that, yeah.
Yeah, so, everybody was glued to this. And to have this kind of a finish, we've heard a lot of people talk about changing test cricket, making it 4 days. Every single game of this series has gone to day 5.
It has, yeah.
And we've had fantastic finishes. So all those people who are advocates of
4-day
4-day test cricket,
you don't understand test cricket.
No, they don't.
Okay, so India celebrating at the end of it like they had won something. This was my favourite bit of the whole thing. Like, they were just absolutely exultant that they had managed to wrestle a draw out of the series. Was it a fair result over 5 tests?
Very, very fair result. And you've got to dial back a bit where this Indian team's coming from. New Zealand went there, beat them 3-0 at home.
That's right.
Doesn't happen often. They go to Australia. They've beaten Australia in 2 series back-to-back before that one. But they go there and they get beaten 3-1. Now, until that last day in Sydney in Australia, India were in with a chance in that series as well.
Good point.
So that 3-1 is not a fair reflection of how well the 2 sides played in that series. But then they come here and look at this. Ravichandran Ashwin has retired from Test cricket in the middle of the Australia series. Virat Kohli retired at the end of the Australia series. Rohit Sharma retired at the end of the Australia series. Bumrah, the number 1 Test bowler in the world, coming into this series was only going to be available for 3 games. And Mohammad Shami, who's such a beautiful bowler, wasn't there in Aussie, wasn't there in England. Nobody gave them a chance. People thought this team's going to get rolled over. Mm-hmm. They turn up. They play like absolute champions. They fall, they pick themselves up, they fight. I've long said, that in cricket you can teach people to bat, you can coach them to bowl, you can coach them to field. You can't coach ticker in cricket.
No, you can't. No. Not in any sport, mate. And this is what they've actually displayed, haven't they? That's why I think that emotion, you can understand it at the end of this. Siraj was incredible. The workload that this guy put in. Look, and also you've got to remember the population in England as well. There are so many Indian people who have been born in England, so many people who have gone to England, so many people in that country love their cricket and so forth. And so This is the pinnacle of the sport in the world at the moment. India deserve to get a draw out of that. You mentioned Australia watching it, which is fascinating to me because now England come down at the end, at the end of this year into the summer for 5 tests in England. And they'll fancy themselves because of the way they're playing. They can chase down 300 in the 4th innings. They know that now, right? And every team that sets 300, that's not a lock anymore. However, playing on Australian pitches against their bowlers is a completely different experience than playing in England.
Absolutely. I mean, the way they play their cricket is very aggressive, but what it means is they're always going to give the opposition a chance. And if there's one opposition in the world that you don't want to give a chance to, it's the Aussies, because they've just got the bowling for their conditions, which will absolutely, you can put a coin on the pitch and you got the bowlers who'll hit that consistently. You've got Mitchell Starc, who's at the peak of his powers right now.
See, I thought he was going to retire a couple of years ago.
Exactly. He's hit an absolute purple patch.
Yeah, he has.
Josh Hazelwood, fantastic bowler, line and length and good pace as well. You've got Pat Cummins, who's an absolute workhorse. He's like the Mohammad Siraj kind of bowler, who'll just come in day out and give you his best. And don't forget a guy called Scott Boland, who can't even get into the side because of these 3 guys. So they've got the bowling. And why forget Nathan Lyon? 500 plus test wickets.
And especially at home,
Yeah. So as long as Australia get their batting sorted, I think Australia will be firm favourites for the Ashes. England has got a lot of stuff to do. I mean, they'll get Jofra Archer and Mark Wood to come in and bowl the overs. But I'm just not still convinced about whether they'll be competitive in that Ashes series.
Rahul, why was there so much niggle in this series between India and England as well? And is that genuine or is that just on the pitch stuff? Do you think off the pitch they might be a bit more friendly? But there was plenty of it.
Yeah, started with a whole lot of stuff, in that first game where the batters tried to waste some time when there was over to go. So that started it all off. Then you had Rishabh Pant, whose toe was injured, and the English bowlers were targeting his toes when he came out to bat with a fractured toe. That happened. Then you had Ben Stokes offering the big handshake.
And they said, no, we want to get our centuries for the draw, right?
I mean, they deserved it.
Then the groundsman got involved and there was a bit of that, wasn't there?
Yeah, the coach and the groundsman getting involved. Trust me, when Ben Stokes goes to Australia for the Ashes, every Aussie in Australia is going to put their hand out and offer him a handshake. I am 100%.
And then they're going to go like this, aren't they? Yeah.
Absolutely. But look, banter on the field, and there is that imaginary line that people keep talking about, that as long as that doesn't get crossed, as long as it doesn't get personal, it doesn't get abusive, I'm fine with that. Look, they're playing for their countries. There is passion involved. They are going to show their emotions. I've got no issues with that. The only thing I have is there's no place for abuse and there's no place for getting personal.
There is a place, though, for a 5-test series, which is what we're going to see with the Ashes. It's so frustrating down here in New Zealand, isn't it? We get 2 tests at the most. We don't even get any tests during the New Zealand summer, January and February. And I don't care what anyone says. If you're trying to convince me that the best thing for cricket as a sport in this country is we don't see our men's national team play at home during summer, you're talking that's just nonsense is what it is. And I know that there's schedules and I know we don't have a lot of say and all of that kind of stuff, but just say it out loud. We have a summer of cricket and our team doesn't play at home. It is nonsense. That's all it is. This test series in Zimbabwe is also, I'm struggling to get my head around. It's not part of the World Test Championship. Why are we playing this? Apart from stat padding, why are we playing it?
I think you got to look at the slightly bigger picture here because New Zealand's one of the top teams in the world. And as custodians of the game, we've got some corporate social responsibility to make sure that the game keeps growing in the other parts of the world. Zimbabwe's been through a tumultuous time, politically, socially, and their cricket was reduced to a joke a few years back. They're just trying to make their way back into international cricket, and I think it's a fantastic goodwill gesture.
Okay, I'll buy that.
By New Zealand cricket to go there and play 2 test matches. Look, at the end of the day, it's not part of the World Test Championship, so it's a bit like, why we're doing this, but sometimes you look at the greater good of the game and take your
the latest tyrant in charge of that country as bad as the last one, Mugabe?
Well, the news coming out is that the bloodshed has reduced, which is, I guess, the best thing to happen. Nobody wants to see that. And cricket's flourishing again. There's lots of people come into the games and watching. That just tells you, I don't know exactly what's going on politically, but from the outside, it does look like things are getting a lot better.
Paul Holmes told me, I'm not name dropping here, but beloved mate, said that Robert Mugabe was the scariest individual he's ever met in his life. He said he was just the coldest just his stare was death, he said. And I just, even now when I say it, I feel a shiver. Like the way he explained it, he said he's never been so frightened by a guy in all his life. And he said he's only a little wee guy, but he said he just looked through you like you weren't there.
Yeah, and look, one of those guys that you are very happy you've never met in your life. So I like.
Yeah.
But one last thing I'd really like to bring up is, the most abused and frivolously used term in the game of cricket is something called the spirit of cricket. And people use it left, right and centre whenever they get a chance. I saw the spirit of cricket walking onto a cricket field yesterday. Chris Wokes, what a brilliant, brilliant human being. His hand in a sling, he walks to bat. When he couldn't bat right-handed, he's a right-hand bowler, he's a right-hand bat. But when he knew that there could be a chance that his team might need him to bat to win this test match, he goes into the nets the previous day and practices batting left-handed. He comes down those stairs, he goes to the crease, and he's there because the rest of his team needs him to be there to win a test match. And that to me was the best definition that anybody could ever give for the spirit of cricket. Just brilliant, brilliant stuff. And the backstory of that is there is talk that he might not even play for England again because they're going to the Ashes now, and there's talk that he doesn't fit into their plans for the Ashes, which means he might not get picked. And who knows, in 12 months' time, when it's the English summer again and they play another test series, what can happen between now and then? And if that is the last time we're going to see Chris Wokes on a cricket field.
Yeah, courageous, wasn't it?
I'm absolutely so happy that we saw what we did, and hats off to him.
5 test series have a place in world sport because of this. But do we have to accept also that there's only 2 or 3 teams that are now capable of actually sustaining that over 5 tests? It's obviously the home of cricket is England. Obviously India, Australia, South Africa are the world test champions at the moment. I mean, is that just what test cricket is going to be now? That, those series are going to be the upper echelon, the Champions League of it all. The rest of it is going to be playing for World Test Championship and that. But we're never going to get invited to England for 5 tests, are we? We're not going to go to India or Australia for 5 tests. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I've got some news for you. I've just come back from Singapore at the ICC conference. I was privileged enough to represent the Cook Islands cricket over there. And one of the talking points was a 2-tier test cricket system, wherein you have 7 teams in one group, 7 teams in another group playing each other more frequently. Now, there were pros and cons to both arguments, and 2 very, very fine cricketers in Mahela Jayawardene and Rahul Dravid both gave their opinions at this conference on what they thought about it. Rahul Dravid was all for it, and he had his reasons. Mahela Jayawardene, on the other hand, I'll talk about him first. He said, we shouldn't be doing this because if there is a guy in Afghanistan who are the latest entrants into test cricket, if there's a kid in Afghanistan who aspires to be a test cricketer, why are we robbing him of the chance of playing Jasprit Bumrah one day? And which is a fair argument. As a test cricketer, you want to test yourself against the best. But then to Dravid's point of view, he said, we're not doing that. There will be relegation and there will be, teams going up and down. So there will be a chance. But what it will also mean is that the top teams, the top 7 teams on the ladder get to play each other more frequently. We'll see more test cricket and we'll get done with these 2-match test series, which are absolutely...
It's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not what test cricket is a series. It's like saying the Lions versus the Wallabies, we're just going to play a one-off test.
Yeah.
No, that's not the point of it. Yeah. Because that's the point of a series. That's what I love about American sport. Best of 7. At the end of it, whoever wins game 7 is the better team because over 7, and this is what I love about this, over 5 tests, they can't separate them. 2 wins each and 1 draw. And it comes down to the very last day and the last 4 wickets and 35 miserable runs.
Absolutely.
What drama.
Yeah, and you can't script this. And this is what cricket does. It's got its own... I've heard so many people say, I don't watch test cricket because it's boring. Once again, I'll say, if you're not watching test cricket, you are missing life lessons. Get yourself whatever subscription you need to get, but please, please, please watch test cricket. It's the most beautiful teacher in the world of life skills and life lessons, and your life will be more enriched by watching a game of test cricket than anything else in this world.
Listen to that guy.
DSPN.